Galentine's Day edition. Mm-hmm. This is just a conversation with just us, just talking about life, love, the season that we're in, and I know we're going to inspire a lot of people that's going to watch this. Because we're all in different seasons and all in different areas of our lives, so I just feel that each of you ladies have something to share with the world. So let's do that.
Let's do it.
So we're all in different seasons, and love looks different in different seasons. So for me, I know the season that I'm in as a single person, I say single because I'm not dating anyone right now. I feel that love to me is loving myself. Because for a long time, I didn't love myself. So I feel like in the season that I'm in, I'm loving who I am, the uniqueness of me, the creativity even, because I used to criticize myself so much, but I'm realizing God made me unique, just like He made each of you unique. So I'm loving that right now. I'm enjoying it. So.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I say it's opposite slightly. For me, I am in love. But I think it started, 2020. I decided I needed to take a pause with dating. I needed to work on myself. I need to kind of dig a little deep on all the things that I maybe was doing wrong in relationships. I got a therapist, so I did a lot of work around that time by myself. And I think, this love just kind of happened, and it feels good. It feels great. It's challenging us in different ways. And, so that's the season that I am.
Yes.
Love that. I'm in a quiet season of love. Quiet, no numbers, no particular person in our roster, if you will. I think similar to you, I can relate in just wanting to be in this season of wholeness. Yes. And so I'm just kind of focusing on experiences just for myself and going out and doing the things that I like to do, and just enjoying it for that and not having my head on a swivel, if you will, looking around, like, who's that? I've been enjoying this quiet season. I think that it's also making me less tolerant to some degree of certain, how do you call it, imposters that might come up or show up. And so once the lingo starts to drop, it's like, oh, I know you're not serious. I'm okay. I'm good on my own. And so I'm not in a place of rush. I feel like I'm kind of in a place of just like, all right, God, I'm just waiting on your will for your time and for your season. You know what I need. You know what I want to. But, and just kind of letting it unfold that way. So that's where I'm at. Yeah.
I would say that I'm somewhat in between. Definitely loving myself, but really appreciating my relationship with God and how He has, I've been recently fasting, and where He's been doing like pleasant surprises for me. And it's just like how detailed He is in regards to that. And it's like taking Him at His word and going back to that childlike faith and being open to love. But also it's like I want someone who's so in love with God that he'll love that about me. That He'll love the God that's in me, because it's such a huge part. It is my life. God is. And so, but to really like hold close that relationship, and like, I don't want anybody to ruin it. It's almost like I'm just in this like really place like, God, like me and you. And then whoever else comes, like my husband, it's going to be icing on the cake.
Third wheel.
That's right.
That's where He wants us to be. Like, I feel like it's going to happen. I know it's happened for you, Claudia, but for the rest of us, too. Like, being at that place that you're so content with yourself, that God's like, okay, let me just send them. You're ready.
I mean, I decided, I think at that point prior to meeting Him, that I was going to plan my life. If that means growing my career, getting my space, buy my own space, travel. I think that's another thing that I've always done.
Yeah.
Is just continue to live life as much as I can as I wait for the person that God has for me. So, yeah.
I kind of feel the same way. I think that coasting where everyone is. I would honestly say that this road of self-discovery has been eye-opening. I think that as you transition through different seasons in your life, your desires, what you want in companionship, friendship, relationship, marriage, it changes so drastically. And so knowing what it is that I like, being content with who I am, and not necessarily comparing myself to what I see in other people, because you never know what a person's relationship status is like. You don't know what it takes for them to navigate their relationship or what it took for them to take that step or that leap of faith. So just being confident and knowing that who I am and who I'm destined to be with, it's going to be a perfect fit because God made them expressly for me. And just being confident in that, because that was really a struggle area for me. At this season of my life, because I'm like, we're coasting, like midlife here, and so it's like, well, when's it going to be my turn? And I stopped asking the question because I realized that God's timing is perfect, and if God had released my mate when I was younger, I may have destroyed, any potential happiness. And I think I've seen so many of my peers who entered in relationships and marriages and are divorced or, worse. And so I've learned to seriously be content and to really appreciate the plan that God has for me. Because that was the biggest hurdle. My relationship status, the biggest hurdle was me. The biggest hurdle was me, because I had to get out of my head, number one, and I had to really relinquish control in that area of my life, because when you're a planner and you're analytical and you're thinking, you have it all set. I'm going to be married by the time I'm 23, have my kids 25, 27, 29, 30, baby factories done, we're off to retirement in our 50s, we're going to Tahiti. Like, I had a whole plan, and God said, that sounds nice, but I got better. So sometimes, His best for us doesn't line up with our best for us. And I'm so glad, because I really could have destroyed my own purpose.
I love that.
That's my. Wow.
That is so real.
And it's beautiful seeing how we're all blossoming in our own areas. But I know there's some tough nights too. Like, there's some we're all beautiful, but there's some tough areas that I know a lot of people struggle with. And let's just talk about that a little bit. I know for me, the hardest part in this season is being patient. I know I have to go through the steps to be the person I'm supposed to be before God sends the person, but just being patient. Okay, God, I did this part. What's next? What else I got to do to get to the next level? But so that's the hardest part for me, is being patient. I'm trying now, like I'm doing different things to get myself, like I'm enjoying myself. But I'm just like, what's next? So just being patient is the hardest part for me.
I would say what's the hardest part is that I definitely have done online dating, and it's not about being able to find someone. It's being able to separate whose intentions are pure. It's a lot of people who have hidden agendas, and it's a lot of people who have been extremely hurt. So then when they actually meet someone who's genuine and wants the best for them, they're like confused and taken back, and it's just like... And so, just as Amy was saying, like in the past, I used to, when it didn't work out, I would be like, well, what did I do wrong? And I would accuse myself. And then it's gotten to a point where I was just like, I have no control over if someone has bad communication. And then even if I'm starting to like someone, I'm like, God, if this is not you, remove them. Like, and it's a hard prayer to pray, because the reality is you like some attributes about someone, but God, He sees like everything. And so when they start to back away, it's almost like, thank God, maybe it was only 3 weeks instead of 3 years. And then the recovery time is even longer. And so I think it's everyone wants you, but they don't want all of you, just a piece of you. And so it's like, God, I want to be able to be my authentic self with someone. So I think it's the challenge of who's genuine. Like, who's genuine, who's going to be real, like, because I want to be my authentic self. And being a hopeless romantic, it kind of sometimes shoot yourself in the foot with that, because it's like, you're hopeful because you see all these great things in them, but then you also have to be honest with yourself, like, okay, he seemed like he got a gambling problem, or he doesn't manage his time well. And it's certain things just like, okay, well, it's a deal breaker for me, and being okay to have those boundaries and being willing to let them walk away. So I think that's hard, but I think, when I pray that prayer and God start removing them, it's like, I mean, I didn't fumble them, they fumbled me.
That's right.
They fumbled them.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, because like I like to coin it as saying it's the counterfeit syndrome, because the thing is that, everybody comes in, when you're initially dating, everybody comes in with their representative. You put your best foot forward and you look good, you smell good, you talk good, you're interested, you're texting, you're emailing, you're calling, you're doing all the preliminaries, and then eventually the real person shows up. And it's like, then you're like, did I get hoodwinked, or did I bamboozle myself? Because it looks like it's a good fit initially. And it's like, you really have to allow your discernment to kick in. And that discernment piece is extremely uncomfortable, because you're warned with yourself against what you want and what you know is not good for you. And you're in your mind, you're making like concessions, like, can I deal with this? Will I accept this? Okay, it'll get better. I can change this person. And it's like, at the end of the day, you can't change anybody. I don't care how much you pray and lay, if they are they are who they are, because the leopard does not change their spots. Not unless God changes them. If God changes them, and if God tells you that that's your person, then God is obligated to fix them or get them fixed up for you, so you can, have a cohesive union. But that counterfeit thing is strong and wrong. It's strong and wrong. So yeah, that's a big challenge, huge challenge.
Oh yeah. I'm like, they're strong and wrong. They're strong and wrong. Lay and pray. Y'all got some good pointers here. I agree. I think everyone kind of touched on it a little bit in terms of just like following for the potential, and trying to make it work because they're the closest, or even trying to revisit past situations and trying to see whether you maybe you were a little too hard, or maybe you were a little too rough, and like, maybe if you just were a little bit understanding in this area, or maybe they've grown, since then. And so that was a problem for me, like kind of like really letting go and not revisiting old situations and trying to find or make the potential work. Like, God created our person for us before we even before we even know, right? And I don't think it would be a situation where God would allow us to fall in love with the potential. He wants his best for us, right? And so it's kind of like still staying in that reminder of getting his best and receiving his best. It shouldn't feel hard, right? The hard part shouldn't be the part that's supposed to be blissful, right? We're in the honeymoon stage of getting to know each other. It should be exciting. I think the harder part is like when you fully have vested, and there's not even like the basic things, but like maybe it's a difference in opinion on like a decision that we have to make or something of that sort. But this part should be fun. It shouldn't be as like stressful. So it's kind of like, okay, God, I understand why you're having me wait, because that person just really isn't the one, and I'm trying to make him the one, but he's really not the one. So that's where I've been sitting with like my heart in the patience piece, right? Waiting, because it's like, because we can't wait, we're trying to make other things fit in the puzzle. And so
the patience,
if you're real.
Yeah, the patient one is really hard. I think with patience, for me, it was just what it was supposed to be. I think it's letting go of the idea of what phases in life. So it's similar to what you said. You kind of had these plans, right? And I think with careers, with family, with friends, right? Those things you can somewhat choose to kind of pick a time to say, here's what I'm going to do, etc., right? And you can go after it. And I think for sure for dating as well. So like, yes, the apps and, you know, for me I'm not going further. If you show me, you can't text me back. Like it's usually we're done, right? And that was the biggest piece of me. And part of, you know, even taking that time to myself was like, okay, I have to be more open. I have to be vulnerable. Part of finding love is also getting hurt as well at times, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it was, how can I go and vulnerable, you know, just be myself. Here's where I am in life. Or you know, just kind of once you have those clarity or those self-awareness, I think it's easier for you to say, okay, how do I walk away from this? Do I remain in this? Do I deserve better? It doesn't mean that I didn't make some terrible mistakes with people that you thought like there could be a forever. And then, it's just letting go of the idea that I don't need to, I didn't get married by 25. I didn't have the children by 30. I didn't get the home by 35, right? And start that family aspect. So it's kind of, hey, this is the space that I am now. And this is kind of where God has led me to be. And how do I kind of be in the present? So I think that's a big piece that allows me to just, I had to let go of.
Not easy. Not easy.
I'm getting the nudge from Sam. No, it's usually I'm a listener, so I just take in everything and find application, you know, for my life as well as just the things that I've been through. For me, I was always weird at dating. Like dating was not my thing. You know, I always felt like things just had to happen organically. You know, I like the organic, you know, not knocking anyone for going on sites or, you know, because everybody finds love in their own way. And how you find your love, you know, we celebrate in that. But for me, it was always awkward, you know, and my family and friends would be like, you know, go out there, get out. And I'm like, no. I'm like, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. You know, you find a level of you find a way to trust God in that process. And, you know, kind of what you said, like for me, I am in love. I am with someone, and how that happened was completely unexpected, and I wasn't looking because, you know, for me, I was going through a very traumatizing, a very traumatic period in my life and losing my mom. So, you know, with him coming in, it just was a little scary. And I mean, even still, it still is scary. And like you said, having a level of patience and learning to really be loved for who you are, because that's the scary part for me right now, is being loved for who I am. Mm-hmm. I've had people who have tried to control me. I've, you know, been in relationships where people try to make me feel less than, make me feel like I wasn't worthy, you know, and just being in the space of being myself. And so to have someone that really loves the God in me, that really loves, you know, my prayer life, that loves how I love my family and my friends. When I'm going out, he's like, all right, have fun, enjoy. Oh, for real? Bye. Like, you know, it's the little things that he does that makes me feel comfortable in being who I am. And, you know, and that's, no, seriously, it's scary because I'm just, like, you really do care about who I am as Ashley. Like, that's hard, you know, for me, because, again, you get conditioned in those ways to not be able to express yourself, express who God has made you to be, to celebrate in those things. So it's like, it's, you know, that's kind of the headspace that I'm in, and then in the heart space as well. And so, yeah, that's what I can honestly say for me right now, and especially with those challenges and learning how to learn each other, you know, learn our likes, our dislikes, learn, you know, the intentional questions, right? So learning about not just the fairy tale thing, the surfacey things, like let's go deep. What are your traumas? What are your triggers? What do you know, what is it like what was it like for you growing up? What was, your heart matters. Who hurt you? How do you feel about, this situation? If, we go through financial deficit, are we going to be able to communicate effectively in that? How do we, this life, we have to be able to, in partnership, be able to go through life together, to be able to have healthy communication and dialogue, and to be able to, find and discover each other. But also, the other component too is our individuality. Never like being whole, being complete as one, but also embracing and loving on each other as our individual selves, because I feel like that's important too. So I know I kind of went on a little bit.
She dropped gems.
Life and learning to embrace those spaces of individuality as well as, collective partnership. And again, agreed, having the foundation of God is so, so important. If you don't have that, things can go astray, or you can, be distracted, or like you said, looking at different counterfeits and things like that. But, I have the foundation because of what my parents went through. My parents were married for 40 plus years until my mom passed, and I've learned the history of longevity through the actions of faith and prayer and the word of God. And so I don't want anything less than what God has for me, agreed, but I don't want anything less than what the foundation is of who I am. Mm-hmm. So if God isn't at the source of this, you can go on right ahead. I'm good. So agreed with everything that you ladies have said. And so I just want to thank you, because that's what you guys are sharing is also encouraging for me as well. And, that's it. I'm going back.
We're all finding just a little piece of everybody and each other, right? Like the unexpected part of love, for me, it feels like if you guys would have knocked on my door and I just had my PJs on, right, and I wasn't prepared, so you had no choice but to see me in my PJs, right? In comparison to, hey, we planned for today, so we all just put together, right? That was, I think, what the unexpected love was for me. It was like you had no choice but to be vulnerable. You found me where I was in life, so it wasn't just I needed to put on for him, right? And then I think the later piece in life, sometimes that's where we can come in by, individual, right? Coming in together, but we're ourselves. Yeah. So then it's just like, how do we grow together? I'm not trying to merge too much into your life. Merge into my life. I respect your life. I respect your craft. But then here's mine, right? So it's all amazing. Yeah.
Actually, that's a good question too, if I may. I think as we get older, and we've been single for a very long time, and then like the men that are around our age are single too, and and I feel like for them are maybe content in the way that they are operating, right? Whether it's just like, okay, this is my routine, this is my man cave, this is and if they're not really like ready to be or like are seeking after a relationship, it probably is an inconvenience for them, because now you have to compromise, like, to be able to make it work, because like this has been working for me all this time, right? Like, so I wonder if that might be the mindset of like where people are at, like after 30 or after 35, like, if it's not broken, why fix it? Like, maybe I'm good on my, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I think the opposite with that. I think if you're so engaged in yourself, that's when it comes, and then you accept it. Like, if you're not so focused on it, and you're living your life, loving yourself, doing what you need to do, walking in your purpose, if love comes, you're gonna grab to it.
Yeah.
If it's yours, it's tailor made for you. Yeah. You're gonna accept it, and that's where I want to be. Like, I'm so into myself. I'm doing my own thing. So when it comes and it fits right into my life, I'm gonna accept it.
I think if I slightly may add to that, I think that I had been single for so long, so I did have to slightly change my mind on, hey, Claudia, you're in a relationship now. So, yes, there was like a lot of ways that I've felt like this was my way, right? But this is how he communicates, and this is how I communicate, right? So how do we now merge it together so it can work, right? Or how do I let this go, not because my only way of it was my single thinking. It was just Claudia's thinking, but now I have to think of me and him. So I think that's the challenges as well in being in a relationship where I have been single for so long, where I didn't have to like consult with someone about a decision, right? It was just like, I'm going to do this, but now I'm like, okay, well,
That's a good problem.
Yeah.
It's so hard. It goes both with like what Reese says as well. It's like when you fall into it, it's your person, you both are willing to put in the work. So it's not like, hey, or someone who says, well, I'm just stuck in my way, that's how it is, and I don't think you're also ready to be partnering with someone.
That's true.
That's true. And I honestly can say, I don't think people really know what they want. I don't think they really know what they want because, you know, you're saying what is good, pleasing to the ear, but then when you have it right in front of you, you don't even know what to do with it.
That's true.
You know, it has to be a level of compromise because, we may be older in age, but I guess for me, because I've moved around so much, it's to a point where it's like, okay, if it doesn't work, let me try a new way because that didn't really, it wasn't effective. Like I didn't get the best result doing that. So I'm willing to adjust, but it can't just be you making the adjusting. And so it's like, okay, there's a better way for you to communicate this. Like, okay, well, if you're not a morning person, you can say, because I had someone, I had a guy who was like, you asked a lot of questions. And I was like, wait, I didn't even initiate this conversation. It's like, if you're not prepared to have a conversation, won't you wait until you're fully awake and then communicate, right? And so it's things like that. Know yourself well enough where it's like, I know I'm not a morning person, so I'm not going to engage. So then I get snappy and have an attitude like, okay, that's weird. So, you know, and I think it goes back to you really don't know what you want and you don't know who you are. You don't know who you are because then you would even be getting mad at me about something that you have control over. So, and then it goes also to accountability. You lack it. You cannot be even in a friendship. You know, we have to be accountable. You know, and it's like if you want to have the benefits of having someone to be in your corner, you have to be accountable. They want to do whatever they want and think somebody's going to be on the sideline. I don't have to wait. And I will not wait. That part. And I will not wait. What about that? Bye.
Anyana Fix My Life. She had made a comment. I think she had shared a story about how she had been in a very, very long relationship, marriage, and then like had recently, at this later time in her life, ended up, you know, they broke up or they had a divorce. And she mentioned like even what's a lesson that she learned was in terms of, you know how when you list, like when you're dating someone, you're listing all the things that you like, and this person is taking note of it, and it's almost performative in the sense of like, now they're doing the things that you said you like, but it's not true to what they are, or who they are, or their character. So over time, after you know dating and you get into a relationship and you start to realize the things that they used to do, they're not doing it anymore because it was never really them. They were just doing it at that moment in courting you. And so now there's this rift that happens over the course because you're not feeling fulfilled or you feel like they've changed or something of that sort in terms of the relationship, you know, eventually becoming a situation where it could potentially lead to divorce because that's not the person you were in love with or you grew to marry and so forth. And so one thing that she had mentioned, which I thought was interesting, is not to necessarily share the list, right? Let the person show up as who they are. Then you see if that person fits in your life or whether you fit in their life. So in that sense of just like kind of, you know, not necessarily putting on these expectations on someone, right? Again, making it fit when it's not supposed to. Or, also learning that in you might have an idea of what you like, but then when you are allowing someone to show you who they are, there might be something about them that you didn't realize you needed. And in that experience, you're learning something different about yourself that you didn't really tap into. You never noticed it, or you never realized it because you never saw it. But you're like, I really like that. That is speaking to an element in my life that I really need. And so that was a great gem that I had listened or I heard from her.
That's a balance between communication and letting them find out, right?
Yeah.
You have to, you have to tell them enough, right? Like, hey, I'm a morning person. Right, and then let them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a good balance. It's hard to do that balance.
It's hard.
And I find, where like it comes to the expectation, but it's like you cannot hold someone to that if you don't communicate it. Like I didn't know. So you're mad at me for what? Want to know?
Yeah, but okay, so I want to play devil's advocate for just a moment. Just a moment. So the thing is that I find, because I tend to have more male friends than female friends, right? So the way that they communicate is off. It's just so off. Like they literally is kind of funny. They hate to say for women, I'm not a mind reader. But men expect you to be mind readers in a lot of capacities. Or, let me just flip. Some men function in that capacity.
Yes.
Other men are here. And other men are just like, what you see is what you get. And so then you're left in limbo trying to differentiate which is which, So effective communication is key, but I'm learning that you really have to really do your homework and study the person that you're entertaining, because how they communicate, their love language, their everything, they're just their ideas about life in general is so different, and it's like, whereas I'm openly communicative, like I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you what it is I like, what I don't like, and matter of fact, I don't even have to tell you. You won't see it on my face what I like, what I don't like. Dude, if you messed up, you won't know. There ain't gonna be no questions. But for most men, they're not that way, and so that's a little homework that we have to do on our side too. If they are somebody you're willing to invest that kind of time with, and so that's the thing too. Sometimes in a relationship, we do have to roll up our sleeves and do the work. I'm not saying that we always got to do the work, but I'm just saying it depends, because some men are just not that way. They are just not built that way. I use him as that. My dad, he is not that way. My dad is a Southern military man. He is not that way. He is just very dry. Like he's extremely dry. And like, God bless her mother, bless her soul. But I'm like, I tell my dad all the time, I'm like, my mom was anointed to be your wife, because clearly, sir, I would just put a gift bow on your neck and put you on somebody's porch. Like, there's no way I would deal with this. But she was his fit. She was,
because it was just finding that. Right? Because then someone else to your dad will be like, what is going on with
she trust me, she put the time in. She put the time in. There was a lot of, and she used to tell me too, she's like, baby, she's like, when you know it's God, she's like, you'll put in the work. And she said, when you know it's God, you'll put in the work. She said, because the thing is, she's like, if God didn't tell me that was my husband, she's like, then it would have been all on me. She's like, but when your father used to act up, because I'm sure he did, okay, she was like, she said she would go to God and be like, you obligated. Because you the one who told me, and because I took you at your word, you got to fix this. So there was a lot of fixing in them 43 years. However, comma. Sometimes you have to. A relationship is work. So you have to learn your communication styles, and then and then there's some people that you shouldn't even bother to communicate with. We can all agree on that. But because like I said, leopard don't change his spot. If he ain't talking now, he probably ain't going to talk. Praise God.
But I feel like a man, when they find that match, they would do whatever it takes to get you. When they find that woman, they're gonna. I feel like they're going, not change themselves, but they're going to pursue you and try to figure you out.
Right.
Try to find out, what it is, what should I do to get her? And I feel like we need to be doing our thing so much that they're trying to, let me see what she likes. Does she like flowers? Does she like, like they're going to do that word.
It's okay for you to do what it is to get me. Just do what it takes to keep me.
Amen.
Yeah.
Because like I said, everybody comes with their representative, and that, in the beginning, everything is peaches and cream.
Yeah.
But after a while, they dip off, and you're looking at them with the side eye, like, who are you? And what the heck you do with the person that showed up? You got to block.
I was listening to a podcast yesterday. It was actually really good. It was this guy who had a dating kind of business, dating match business. I don't know if you guys ever watched the CEO Diary or heard. Anyway, he's amazing. They have really great people. So I can only remember one. I actually wrote it down. Anyway, but I don't remember one. But one of it is like emotional maturity, and I think that's the piece that like sometimes keep this relationship. It's like if someone is ready to be in a relationship, you see the difference, you see the change, and you don't have to go look for it. And I think actually that was one of my main this is my deal breaker. I feel like if I'm dating you, this was after a bunch of situationship. Is this going somewhere? Is this not going somewhere? But it was like, hey, if I can't tell, if you can't make it clear that we're moving forward together, right? And this is what you want, and like you said, you're pursuing me, right? And not just to get me, but to keep me. Then what are we doing, right? At this point, for me, it's like I've already, I'm 39, right? So it's like I've dated. It's time, I might as well. You know what I mean? So I think that's a big piece. It's changing that list that I think we used to have. The list, for sure, you have to be attracted to your partner. But I think that as we get to this age, it's a bit more than that.
Sure, absolutely.
Right? So it's like, yes, he could be 6 foot tall. Yes, broad shoulders. But at the same time, there's a couple additional things that's more attracted to me. Like if I can't get that feeling out or that thought out or that support out, he gets it out of me. Or he's learning how to get to know me. Does Claudia get quiet when she's feeling this way? Is she happy? Does she get happy when we go to her favorite restaurant? Like all that stuff, right? So I think, or now if I'm dealing with grief or just life is happening to all of us. And I think that there has to be a growth process each step of the way. Yes, the dating piece, then now it's, certain time in, how do we keep this going? And if you don't kind of have that emotional maturity to assess that, to say, where's my partner? Where am I? Am I going to kind of hold on to that thought because he's gone through this? Let me support him. Those are all the learning piece, I think, of dating and the keeping aspect.
Yeah. Life is just a journey. Okay, you get the guy, then there's another journey. So it's a continuous journey.
Yeah.
But God has something so special for each of you ladies. I know He's communicated. But what does it look like to each of you? What is that? What is that for you?
Oh, let me ponder this.
I think I'm going to go first, so my answer's going to be all over the place. But I think that I want someone that wants to continue to meet me where I am and me doing the same. Another podcast I was listening, I think they've been very transparent. It was a couple who known each other since high school, got married. Kevin, the comedian on Instagram, they're Christian, right? And she ended up mentioning how now they're in their 40s, their kids are growing up, and she's realizing there's so many things that like she's changed as a person, things that triggers you now, things that, you know, that isn't the same from when they first met. And how does she communicate that to him? Is he in a space to receive that? So I think it's so important to, yes, the version that, you know, we met each other now. What does that look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And of course, God at the foundation of that always is going to be the guidance for us. But, you know, at the same time, right, my personal growth, my passion, does he support that? There, do I support his, right? Get some of those tough questions out there, like, do we want children? Do we not want children? I think we're in a state now that this is something that we're not going to say, hey, let me just try. It has to be, we have to talk about it because we're getting older, right? So I just want someone that is capable of continuing to grow with me, and just hopefully both of us can just continue to love each other, you know?
I'll go. I would say, because I am moving in my career, I really need someone who's going to be supportive. And for it, heavy on the respect, you know, heavy on the respect, not just towards me, but also for me to be respectful of him. But for me, that looks, that us being each other's safe space, and understanding that life is lifing, and to be able to be soft and vulnerable with him when things are going on in my life, and that I'm able to be his strength in those times for him. But for me, because I know that where God has taken me, I need someone who is very confident in who they are, and not to be intimidated. Because in times past relationships, people feel intimidated, and then, you know, purpose is not fulfilled because they feel away. And so I think keeping God as the center, and us actually doing ministry together, even if it's in the marketplace. And I think for me being able to be my authentic self, because I pray all the time, and I want to be with someone who doesn't think that I'm weird. You know, like someone who really gets it and understand, and not putting on an act as though they're good with it, and really they're irritated. You know, I don't want to be tolerated in this season. I want someone to really be into me, like really like, oh, I'm so, her character, like her spirit, who she is as a person, not so much my body, because this is going to change, you know. But for me, that's just, as she also was saying, growing with someone, evolving, and giving someone space to be able to grow and mature, and admiring that. And seeing the God that God has put on the inside of me, and pushing me forward with that, as I am doing the same for him.
Amen.
I love that. I feel like every time I was thinking about it, I was like, yeah, she did
said
it. I feel like I'm looking for a gentle love. Like, I feel like that's kind of like the essence of like who I am and how I want to show up for this person. So I'm wanting that reciprocated. I'm looking for someone who, when they lead, it's like not necessarily by their words, but like how they are, their actions. And I feel like I want that to be the inspiration to move me, right, in that sense. So in past situations, there's been like, you know, someone who might want you to work out, right, to like, you know, be in shape. And they have the best intentions, but in how they're saying it, it can come off, you know, especially if you're not in that comfortable space or mindset to be in that space to do that yet. You can feel very insecure, right? If someone is showing you that this is their life, that this is their lifestyle, they're disciplined in doing this, and you kind of start looking at them and you're like, well, yeah, he does do this every day, and maybe I should do it. So it's like almost like he's leading by his action, and I can trust that, you know. In that sense, I'm looking for a leader in that sense of the word, not only just in just working out and everything, but like, you know. I want to be safe. I want it to be a safe space for me to be my authentic self as well. I think that that's when you really know, like when you can just really just be you, whether you have a bonnet on,
Right.
you know, and you know, you just, you know, no makeup on, you're just like yourself, and even if something is corny, you know, to other people, but it's like he finds that cute in you, and you know, I look at it as just being, you know, with your best friend. To be quite honest, like you can say it short, you know, yeah. So.
Heavy on it.
I'm like, I just want to know my sister. No, but it's true. It's like you and I think it changes over time, right? So it's like as you get older, your perception and your desire for depth is real. You know, you're not looking for something surface. You want something that's authentic and has depth and longevity. And so I think those are the key components for me in this season, is that I just want the consistency, but I want the depth. You know, I want it to be intentional, you know, and I want it to be lasting because I've seen what that looks like. I've seen what love is in action. I've seen love in suffering. I've seen love in joy. I've seen love in pain. I've seen love, you know, even in unlovable people and in unlovable situations. And so I just want to be able to experience the depth of God's love through my person. You know, to be able to feel that kind of love the way God loved. Because I know what love feels like when you know, every day when I wake up, I know God loves me. But to experience that type of depth in someone else, being able to see me the way God sees me is a beautiful thing too. So I really desire that. And then again, like you said, the realities of life, right? My quirkiness, you know, my silliness, like, you know, my things together, like, you know, you know, or even just the life when life happens, you know, the cycles when you're like, all right, give me a piece of chocolate and some cookies, like, help me, like, you know, like, but seriously, like, you know, like, the realities of life and the things that you go through and the way that you transition, you know, just like you said, to be able to have someone that supports that in you, that you can be able to have someone and feel like I can be myself, I can be vulnerable, like I can cry, and you're not just gonna be like, oh boy, here she go again, like, you know, but really undergird, you know, like it's, you know, I'm a helpless romantic, so I look for, but I look for the quality and the divinity of that because, again, like I said, I've seen it. And when you see it and you know what it looks like and you've actually been able to have the tangible aspect of it, you don't want anything less.
So I'm going to say that I agree with everything. Because what else is there? No, but I would say for me, I guess to tie it all in, I want someone that I can grow with, that I can build with, yes. I want someone that's not intimidated by my strength, but don't take advantage of my vulnerability. I want somebody who is my best friend. I want somebody that I can laugh and because my sense of humor is hilarious to me. I think I'm the funniest thing ever. So I mean, no one has anything on me. No. But the one thing that sticks out in my mind, and I don't want to, because I'm going to get emotional. I want a love that would last to my dying breath. My dad stood at my mom's bedside until she took her last breath. I want that kind of love. That love that sticks and stays through good times, through bad times, through trials, through triumphs, through sickness, health, and death. I want that kind of love. That's not surface, it's not superficial, it's long-lasting, and it's eternal. Because if you ask my dad right now, who was the love of his life, it would still be my mom. And that's what I want.
Wow.
And God hears this. No, we gotta stay right there. Because God is love, and He hears, He knows the desires of your heart, and He's gonna give it to you. It's just a matter of, I guess, us being at the place. Like, you're at the place, we're getting there. Like, He wants different things from us. So once we give it to Him, He's not gonna withhold love from us. He's love. Amen. So thank you all for the gems, the diamonds, the
Ladies, y'all
all of it. People are going to be blessed by this, and I'm just so happy that you guys took the time, to be here and to give back, because you're all on a journey, and you don't go through the journey just for you. You go for somebody else that needs it. So God is pleased. And I'm happy. This is beyond my expectations. Thank you.